Hey guys, Mecha Knight here, and after I checked out the Pokédex, making sure I had a nice variety of types in the Gloria region, which I hadn't done yet. By the way, we're not nearly done with the end of the Pokédex, so don't you worry about that. I discovered that two things. I discovered number one, whilst there were lots of Pokemon of certain types, like water and flying, I think there were 6 of, there were some types that were underrepresented, some with only one fully evolved Pokemon for each of those types. Fully evolved, don't come at me in the comment section, I know. Now, after discovering that, I knew that it was best if I go through and make sure I have some Pokemon for those types. The other thing I realised, a lot of my Pokemon have 2 types, dual types, like water rock or bug poison. So I made sure today I would give you some monotype Pokemon, also known as Pokemon with only one type. Let's get started. Now, there was only one type that I didn't have any Pokemon of yet, and that's Psychic, which kind of surprised me. So here's Rabhat, a Psychic type Pokemon. It is the hat-trick Pokemon. It's based on how magicians would pull rabbits out of hats, and that's why its head looks a bit like a hat, but it's not a hat, it's like Honchkrow or Miss Magius, where it's just a head. It's got like wizard wands for hands, and its green coloration and its body language also alludes to Wi-Fi and routers and that sort of stuff. It's not an electric type, but I just decided to add that design detail. Since like Psychic, it's like telepathy. The edge in this Pokemon could telepathically communicate. A bit like legendaries in the anime. I feel like they just do that because it's the easiest way to do it. Kind of lazy. Anyway, here's the shiny. It's more Wi-Fi coloured. Now, here's its evolution. Magalope, the Jackalope Pokemon. Now, for this one, because it's already one type and it's kind of a simple concept, I didn't want to just go from Psychic Hat Rabbit to bigger Psychic Cat Rabbit. So I decided for the evolution, it would become a Jackalope, a cryptid where it's a jackrabbit with antelope horns. So this is the Jackalope Pokemon. Still pure Psychic, its horns are wands, which I find pretty cool, and instead of like the fluffy tail, it has a hat. Still got the Wi-Fi symbol on its neck, because it was feeling a bit plain. And I tried to make this one look kind of like creepy, since I think we can all agree hares are much like creepier and sort of stretchy and tall and creepy, more so than rabbits. I tried to do that with this, but then I ended up with that round body, and I think it's a nice contrast having like the slim body parts like the arms on the rounded body. It's cool. You got to make sure to have contrast in your Pokemon. Anyway, here's that guy shiny. Again, green Wi-Fi cord, but it also swaps with the green Wi-Fi thing on the neck. So, and magic swirls, because that's what it's called, magic swirls. Now, this is our second convergent Pokemon. As you know, or as you might know, if you're new here, you won't, but in our regional forms video, we also showed off a convergent Pokemon called Foonson and Amoonson, of Fungus and Amoongus. So, for this one, I decided to do Buizel and Floatzel. One of the most important types I realised that I only had one fully evolved Pokemon of, obviously our regional variant, was normal. So I changed to this one. This is Buiact, the False Tears Pokemon. Buiact, as you can tell, its name is just Buizel, but with the Zul replaced with act, since that's how you do it with convergent Pokemon's names. But it does sound like React. This Pokemon basically it overreacts to get a trainer's attention before bonding with them forever and becoming their partner. Usually it'll pretend to be drowning or being attacked by predators. Most of the time it pretends to drown though. You know, because it's like, that's a weasel, it's a water type. Anyway, next time, why did I say next time? Next up, Floatact. Still pure normal type, and its name is Floatzol, and then the Zol replaced with Act, because again, that's how the names work. But also Float, because it's not actually drowning, and then Intact, because when it pretends to be hurt, it isn't, it remains intact. And Floatzol has 2 tails, so I did the famous 2 masks for the tails. And also ribbons, because this one's more of a dancer. Instead of overreacting and acting like it's in danger to get a trainer's attention, it will try and get their attention through impressive manoeuvres and fancy attacks on their enemies. Here are the shinies. I love the shiny for Floatact. No, wait, for Boyact. It's probably one of my favourite in the region so far. It's just so creepy, but it fits so well. And then the shiny for Floatact isn't by any means bad at all. I quite like it. Right, now, next up. This is Vibodo, a pure electric type. It may look like a poison type, but colours shouldn't decide a Pokemon's type. Now, Komodo dragons are one of the animals that use the heat maps and the vibrations in order to sense where their prey is instead of just looking at them. So I did that with this guy. He's always hyperactive though, always rushing about. Its name Vibration in Komodo. And in order for it to, and if it goes about too fast, then its heart will race so fast it dies. So it's got to extend its long fingers into the ground and exert some of its energy down into the ground, like electrical grounding. Otherwise, it's gonna die. A Grim Pokedex entry, Spoink will die if it stops bouncing. Okay? And Spoink is much cuter than this guy, and I feel so bad for Spoink. Anyway, it has 2 wooden bits at the end of its tail. That's because it's meant to be those big wire connecty things. Is it pylons? I think. I researched my videos. Why would you think that? And also it looks a bit like a dinosaur, and this guy is an apex predator. Well, it would be, but it rushes about so much it can barely catch its prey, which is kind of sad. Next up, and the last one for this episode, Steel type is a very important type when you're balancing a Pokemon game. And our only fully evolved Steel type is a starter, so if you didn't choose it, then you're not going to be able to have a Steel type. So this is Ulihorn. I thought about getting a Gigantamax form to this guy, but the end design just didn't lend itself to one, even though I do like the end design. It is a pure Steel type, and it's the Royal Emblem Pokemon. Its name, Unicorn, Horn, and Lion. It's based on how in ancient texts, or in ancient depictions of animals, lions and that would have human faces, since the people hadn't actually seen one before. And unicorns would have massive horns and very silly faces. So this is meant to be a mix between a unicorn and a lion. I did like the hair that lions used to have, and panthers and that. And then it's got a body armor thing on its chest. Its 2 front paws are the strong ones, and then, as you can probably tell. And its horn is a drill, because Steel type. Here's the shiny, blue, because blue is a very royal colour, and even the drill goes a bit more blue. Now, that's all we've got for today's episode, but we showed off quite a few Pokemon, added some variety to the decks. We don't want all the Pokemon to be complicated. I might have to make another video of this, and there still are quite a few types that I need to create more Pokemon for. Like, still more normal types, since just 2 still isn't going to be enough probably. And then fighting and ice, because like, the legendary Pokemon takes up both of those. And whilst I do plan on you being able to get both the legendary Pokemon in your game, I mean, still, it's a legendary Pokemon. Lots of people won't want to use that. So we need to create some new ones. Leave your ideas for any new Pokemon in the comments below, preferably fighting ice or normal type. And I'll see you guys next time.